All right, 40K enthusiasts, working my way through some mailbag here, looking at some unit analysis, answering some questions, loading up the queue for future podcasts, vlogs, and posts on my blog and my YouTube channel. The link to my blog is underneath the video here. That'll take you to it. A lot more Fritz 40K, Wargamer Fritz type stuff. But I felt that this question, this incoming question, warranted immediate consideration because in even considering it, and even daring to ask this question, it's utter heresy. It's unthinkable. I was asked, Fritz, you're big into the 40K lore. Certainly tactics are important. Winning games are a lot of fun, and there's that social experience. But putting yourself in the place of the models, creating that charisma on the table, creating that experience, it almost takes on a role-playing aspect. So in that, do you think that the Imperium of Man will eventually win? The fact that we're even asking that, the Imperium of Man will eventually win. The Imperium of Man has already won. And this is coming from a Chaos player, from a part-time half Chaos player. Certainly I play Space Marines, but I believe in the vision and the voice of Chaos Space Marines too. And even that, in my innermost hatred of a Chaos Space Marine, there is the Imperial truth. Now, this is why I say this, and of course we can explore the 40K narrative. I'll turn it around in the comments and be curious to see what you have to say, and I will not report your names and YouTube handles to the Inquisition for immediate execution, or I should say reprogramming on there. I believe if we look at real life, I have often said with my friends, the only thing that will ever truly unite humanity is really two things, because I think as we kind of revolve around on this planet here, genetically and everything, we're exactly all the same. So everything else is an exact construct created by factions, created by politicians, created by other forces that are looking to divide humanity, when the truth is it is very easy to unite us. And I think as long as we're on this planet, this is real time, this is before we get to 40K, we will never truly be united. I think it will take leaving Earth, moving into space, and I consider colonization, growing up, I was assured, space 1999, that first of all, I'd be on the moon base right now, and looking at other things, certainly I'd be on Titan or a colony somewhere. I believe colonization to the solar system is that first step, is that preparation of creating stations, whether it's on a planet or a moon or kind of orbiting something, to be able to assemble and build and use resources that we don't just have and it's just not feasible on this planet. When we can make that jump to our solar system, I believe humanity will be united. It has to be, as we move on into, I don't know, what's the closest galaxy? The Andromeda Galaxy or something like that? Those of you who know hardcore science will correct me. That will unite humanity. Failing that, I think the other thing that would unite humanity, you just look at sci-fi, Xenos, some sort of invasion, some sort of extraterrestrial invasion. I'm not talking about the Greys. They can, abduct who they're going to abduct and have their little sneakery back and forth, and I read Communion and all that type of stuff with the Greys, but I mean a true proper Xenos threat that will unite humanity. And if we look how this parallels the 40K cycle, the Emperor with the Star Child and the Sensei, this is almost like this myth cycle in play, where you had the techno-barbarian tribes of Earth warring and fighting. The Emperor came and united them. But that unification was just the first step. It then took going to Mars and in our solar system and establishing the Adeptus Mechanicus, the cult of the machine god, which I believe was inspired by the Void Dragon and the Satan from the War in Heaven, before GW and Ward just totally obliterated the goodness, the awesomeness of Necron lore here. But from there we had the beginning of the Great Crusade and reuniting the dark age of technology and all this, bringing humanity to where it is in the story now. Now think about the 40K rulebook for a second. Certainly all this lore and much more is known throughout the Imperium, but it is so fragmented, it is so all over the place, it in so many data stacks in the great halls of Terra, and I'm sure backed up on Mars, and just from random data errors and everything else in there, no one knows the complete picture or even a part of it. And I'd be willing to wager that the rule book that we consider 40K right now, with its rules and its brief narrative, that is a holy tome. If you were an Inquisitor, or even a High Lord of Terra, if you were an Inquisitor and you possessed the 40K rulebook with the kind of identification of units and the concise little summaries of each of the Xenos races and the Chaos threat and Chaos demons and stuff like that, I mean, that alone, we as players have more knowledge than I would wager some of the most legendary Inquisitors out there just in that rulebook. So I believe that it's a cycle, and that currently, before we even look at the Dark Imperium and all that type of stuff, the Emperor will be reborn. I believe the Golden Throne will fail. If we look at what the Emperor was trying to do, and Magnus certainly with good intentions, and before Horus was corrupted, what the Emperor was looking to do to unite humanity, going to the Golden Throne was a stopgap. Going to the Golden Throne was a pause to allow humanity to recover from the heresy, and we have been stuck there in the Imperium ever since. We're just kind of stuck. The question is, that's the eternal gamble. Let the Golden Throne fail. Let the Emperor be reborn physically. I mean, we can see this with the Primarchs, the catalyst of the Primarchs on there. You know, Luther locked up has a lot of insight, a lot of wisdom, and there is some truth into that. And I believe that's why the Fallen are so aggressively pursued, because there's Imperial truth there that is not ready for the moment. But if the Emperor is reborn, that, I believe, will push humanity above and beyond that turning point. What do you think? Now, as a Chaos player, there's the allure of the gods. There's the seduction of the gods. And I have to say, as playing Chaos Space Marines for as long as I have, and enjoying it from that narrative standpoint of view, you begin to see the assuming you actually make it, so, you know, you renounce the Imperium, whether it's recent, you become a Corsair, or you're back there with Horus, following Horus. Assuming you survive, you know, that first kind of push into heresy, and you don't become a spawn, or you're not defeated on a battlefield somewhere, you begin to then see the truth that the gods and all their power, if they were truly powerful, if the dark gods were truly powerful, how have they not broken the Imperium of Man? The Imperium of Man with the Emperor is fragmented. How have they not done that? So truth is truth. And this kind of leads to what I believe every Chaos Lord knows. You know, my Lord Sin, he is slowly my Chaos Lord on a Juggernaut. For my Berserkers of Scalathrax, he's slowly coming to this realization that perhaps he was wrong. There won't be redemption because he's too far gone for that. But I believe the Chaos Lords hold the hatred because they were promised the truth. They thought the truth resided in the dark gods, and now they see they're just an illusion. And they can't go back. They can never go back to that imperial truth. Your thoughts? Has the Imperium of Man already succeeded? Is it just a matter of time and sacrifice? Or are we fading out? If you believe the second, that's absolute heresy. Report to the Inquisition immediately for re-education and probably immediate execution.